what you're saying is you want that board to follow policy procedure and not make their own up as they go along, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
And you know, do we, you know, I understand that back in 2008 they did have a reorganization and they set policy aside at that point. 2008 is not the same as what happened with 4 people here. It's not the same. I'm calling it like I see it. Now there are those who see differently and they voted yes. I'm calling it like I see it. 4 people is not a reorganization. I thought we needed to go through and do this the right way. And there was a way to do it the right way that was identified. How it could have been posted, changes that could have been made, and things like that. But nobody wanted to wait. And I had people get upset with me because I announced to the membership then, because I explained, this is why I'm voting no. And I saw it as an expedience. We want to get it done now because Aaron wants to get his stuff done now. And I understand that. He's been waiting a long time. I get it.
Yeah.
But convenience in doing it quickly isn't an excuse to set aside procedures. So it's about accountability. How accountable are we when we can just say, oh, well, it's okay for the managers, but we're above that? We're not above anything.
So does this mean, too, when stuff has to get done, that you tell them, okay, if we have to do this tomorrow, we're going to do another 9-hour day and do it tomorrow.
If it has
we're not
to be
going to
done,
wait
yes.
another friggin' 6 months or whatever. We need to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
And if the policy is bad, change the policy. You just don't get to pick and choose. That's
I think
wrong.
with your thoughts, I think Bernard would have never got away with a lot of things if they had more people like you being accountable for the policies and procedures. Wouldn't have let them get away with it.
You know what I've seen and what I'm still seeing is fear. People are afraid.
Yeah.
And you know, people have said, you know, this about Bernard and that. I said, why are you so afraid of that man?
Yeah, that's what I say too.
You know, and I'm not afraid of him.
He puts his pants on the same way we do,
Well,
right?
you know, people can make your life hell. They certainly can.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm gonna live with the decisions that I make, and if it means that people are getting mad at me because I'm voting no on something, I'm gonna vote no. What I think is wrong, I think is wrong. And you know, we're not entitled to special privilege. That's wrong. We don't get to say, oh well, no.
But you've seen it, the abuse of it on the board. You've seen
Which is even a better reason why we can't do it now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm like, that's another one of those, are you kidding me? I felt like nobody was hearing what I was saying. We have to follow this. We have to follow this. But everybody, and I think that everybody was well-intentioned. You know, I really do. I think everybody wants forward movement so badly. I get it. But that doesn't mean that we can compromise. We cannot compromise our integrity and set the rules aside. If they're bad rules, change the rules. But if they're in place, we have to follow them.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
I agree with you.
Otherwise, what have we got? We have a repeat.
Mm-hmm.
No, we've got to stop doing it. That was another one of those things I was telling you about. Well, this is how we've always done it. No. No. And I'm voting
Jennifer's here, and she's going to make sure, right?
Well, I'm one voice. I'm going to holler about it. I'm going to say no, 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 and I'm going to get people mad at me.
Why don't you start hollering louder and get on the STG and start voicing your concerns? They all do, you know? I mean, and you don't, and people are not understanding where you're coming from. Get on there. Start shouting. Yell out the window. I want my money, it's my money, and I want it now, or whatever. You know, yell to the highest thing as loud as you can to be heard. Because
you know, and I thought I did. I put that on there when I knew I was voting no. This is why I voted no. You were the only person who contacted me about it. Everybody else read it. I thought it was as clear as anything. This is why I said no, to follow these policies. And it was like it wasn't even there. So if you've got some hints or some clues to me on how to make it more clear.
I'm telling you.
More clear, because I thought I did.
Letters. This is Jennifer McLeod. Why I didn't vote for this is because we're not above the law. We're not above you people. We are the board of directors. It's our job to follow rule, and that's exactly what I was doing.
It's in there. I wrote that. I
Well,
said
you
we are
wrote
not
it
above.
wrong.
Those were my exact words. We are not above the rules. And it's like people didn't want to hear that. They wanted to hear something else. They wanted to be mad at me, and it's like, I'm telling you, this is why.
I think they don't want to be mad at you, but I think they're just so frustrated. I mean, they have the right to be, because
Sure they do.
the abuse that
do.
has taken place is just astronomical. The money that is just being poured out on bad decisions, one right after another, and we sit there and look at it, and it's like, we put you in place to do our rules. That's another question I want to, by the way.
Right.
When you're making your decisions, okay, you've got the policy parts and the procedures down.
Mhm.
But do you ever listen to your constituents?
Yes.
And how do you do that?
Well, all the ways that I listed earlier on how people can get in contact with me, I talk with them at elders meetings. People will tell me in Walmart, they'll tell me in the drugstores, they will tell me wherever they see me. It's constant. And an example of, do I listen to the members, do I represent what they're telling me? Let's look at the Big Bear closing the bar. Right? Members were telling me clearly they wanted that closed.
Me?
I didn't think it was a good business decision,
Me either.
but I still voted to close it.
Well,
Because the members wanted
You
it.
don't think it was a good business decision to close that bar? Is that what you just
It's
said?
not a good business decision. And here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. Let's call that Big Bear Arena what it is. It's not a recreation center.
No.
It is a hockey rink. 2 hockey rinks, 2 pieces of ice.
I get the
It should be
yeah.
it should be run as a ice business. We need a rec center, so let's have a rec center. If Big Bear's going to be it, then let's have it be that. But we were calling it the recreational center. Our members had an expectation that it was a recreational center. Should we have a bar in a rec center where our children are at? No way.
Yeah.
But Big Bear is an ice arena. They were making money on booking the ice and tournaments and things like that. Our kids don't belong in that environment.
But they were in there. They
Sometimes.
Were, yes.
Sometimes.
Hockey.
But
Their
they took
dad's
them
taking the hockey
Well,
things.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's not a
That-
recreation center.
that
And
was-
the people have an expectation that, oh, my kids are going to go there and play. They don't go there and play. But that's why I said, from a business perspective, that little bar that was there allowed them to get bookings that they've lost now because of it. So in that regard, from business, it's not a good move to close it. In terms of a recreational center, yes it is. And the members told me what they wanted, and I told the manager, I said, even though I know this is a bad business decision, it's still what the people want. And I voted no. Get out of here.
Okay. Now, when that was originally built, it was a rec center. They had all the exercising machines up there and everything else.
I saw the first plans for that. It was
Yeah.
never intended to be that. It was always intended to be an ice arena.
Burners Playground.
So
Yeah.
we turned it into something that it wasn't. We tried to use it for things that it wasn't
He
designed to do.
used that probably to get his ice arena, and he got it. But
Well,
we know
if
the
we
story.
if we want a
behind
rec
that.
center for our kids, and let's make a rec center for our kids and our people.
Well, we have one. Can't we add a rec center in there now?
What I'm saying is, let's purpose it for what we want it to
Yeah.
be. If that's what we want it to be, then let's make it that. Let's quit trying to run a business and expect it to meet business expectations,
Yeah.
and then not allow them to do
I
that.
mean, look what they did up there by the old Walmart. They put in there, it's a 24-hour machines and everything else. You can go exercise and stuff like that. The elders liked it because they had to walk them around
Mm-hmm.
in the wintertime.
Well, once they added that little fitness thing in the middle
Yeah.
and put the track in there, but I remember we had powwows in there.
Yeah.
It was a big open empty nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and we had powwows in there. That
Yeah.
was when it was still just an ice
Yeah.
arena.
Right.
And then they said, oh, well, we got extra space here. Let's put some kids in there and we can do this. And that was never a good thing. In fact, I understand that the people who had the kids zone activities in there that have been moved to a house, they're happier in their house than they ever were in Big Bear. because they're better able to keep an eye on their kids, and there's lots of reasons why.
Yeah, but you get those, it only takes one. It only takes
Oh,
one.
that's for
You know,
sure.
You
But
get one
anyway.
drunk in there and he's driving home with this kid and the kid gets killed, it only
But
takes
there's
one.
your example. You asked if I ever listen. Right there, I listen.
Okay.
This is what the people told me they wanted, and
I'm
that's what I
glad
did.
you thought that way. What about the wolves? Did you think the same way? Don't kill the wolves?
No, we shouldn't kill wolves.
That
That didn't.
that's bizarre.
I didn't. That goes against our Anishinaabe
Yeah.
ways. That didn't take any big poll of asking.
I mean, it
That's
blew my
like-
mind. It was another one. Oh, hurt my brain again. You know, why should this even come up? You know, of course you're not going to do it. You know.
Mhm.
Well, let's answer some
What else do
questions.
you
You want to pull it up here? So, what are your thoughts of working with the board and that together to get things done? If it's within policy and things have to get done, you know it. You're going to be all for change, right? You're going to be all for it, right?
We have to change. There's no choice. There's no choice that we have to change. We cannot continue doing what we've been doing. It all has to change. We have to quit thinking that this is how it's always been. We need to look at things differently. Maybe that's why I'm here, because I'm different. I haven't been involved in all the politics. I haven't.
Well, there's nothing wrong
Maybe
with
I'll be
different. We
different.
surely need it, I think, for the checks and the balances. So I'd say, people, if you want to friggin' get a hold of her to find out the real truth, she told you to get her on, or sometimes go on STG there, so, there's ways you can get a hold of her.
Mm-hmm.
Cute puppy. I'm trying to find, I know what I'm doing wrong here. I was looking at the pictures here. Duh. From Corrine Rudd. Jennifer, what is your main objection for the tribe? And how do you see us getting there?
Objective?
Yep.
Okay, I thought you said objection. Objective.
You want me to read it to you?
The primary objective that I see is the first one that's in the Constitution, and that is for our way of life. That to me is the most important thing, and that involves our sovereignty, it involves our language, our culture. Those are the things that define us as a people. That's my first objective, and the way that we get to that is through education, is by providing opportunities for people to learn. And it doesn't mean downtown at lunchtime, meaningful ways that everybody can get to and learn. It involves providing opportunities to use what you've learned. And we don't always do that. We need to do better than that. We need to make sure that we protect our way of life. That's the first one.
Elaine Young Clement. Will you be setting up office hours to meet with your members?
At this point, I don't have any plans to have set office hours, because I meet with people when they need me to meet with them. I'm not going to say, well, you can meet with me from this time to this time. I don't do that. I'm available. Call me. If you need to meet with me at 7 o'clock at night, we meet at 7 o'clock at night. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm sorry, my office hours are from 2 to 4 on Fridays. I'm not going to do that. So at this point, no.
But you get a personal one-on-one with her, so that's even
Yeah.
better.
Well, I think so. I think that it's better to do that.
Lynn Ermiting Weaver. What is your personal strategy for making difficult decisions?
Difficult decisions. I use a process, there's this acronym SMART, and it stands for a specific, measurable, attainable, timeliness, and those are the things that I look to evaluate something that's coming before us. It's sort of like going through the who, what, when, where, and whys. It has to make sense. So I use that, but I also have a +7. That +7 to me means our 7 generations. Just because something is good to do now doesn't mean that it's a good thing to do for the future. For example, let's say we had the opportunity to open up a coal-burning generating plant for electricity, for energy. It could mean lots of jobs, and it could mean, you know, lots of money and things like that. But 50 years from now, that plant has polluted this area, has wiped out the rivers. We have to be aware of those things. Just because it's good for now doesn't mean it's good for the future. So that's my +7. And that's how I try to look at things. And then, you know, of course we have to look at it, is it consistent with policies? Is it consistent? Does it make sense? You know, those kinds of things. Members tell me their opinions all the time. Wherever I'm at, they'll ask me about things. I listen to them, and then I also have elders that I'll ask them. I go to the elders' meetings. I ask them, what do you think about this? And I find out.
Okay. Are you done with that?
Hmm?
Okay. Kevin Carr. At this time, I'm listed as a Unit 1 member. I would like to know what your thoughts and feelings are on opening more units and services for those of us numerous members that live below the bridge. If this came to the board, how would you be voting?
Well, I think it's going to come to the board in the forms of the Constitution. I think that the Constitution addresses those issues. I'm from downstate. I was born and raised in Pontiac. I know what it's like to feel invisible. I know what it's like to feel that you don't have a voice, that you don't count. There's nothing in our Constitution that says our people quit being our people once they're outside of our service area. I don't think that way. So, you know, it's the people who has to vote on this being right.
Okay. Okay, we read this. We talked about it, but just give them a quick answer.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Byron, what changed your mind about taking the trip to Las Vegas?
What changed my mind about the trip to Las Vegas is it doesn't fit in with my priorities. By that time, I had decided that economic development wasn't going to be something that I was going to pursue. There are other people who want to do that. I also had canceled other trips up to that point because we didn't need to spend the money on that. I wasn't going to specialize in economic development, so I canceled other trips and wasn't planning to go to Vegas because of that. In fact, there were more than enough other people that were going, and it didn't make sense. You know, I can't decide for anybody else, but for me, it didn't make sense to go. It was an unnecessary expense if I wasn't going to focus in that area. I couldn't do it.
Okay.